Welcome, one and all. Welcome to Business Growth Insiders, where we discuss business growth because we're on the inside. What's happening, everybody?
That we are. We are certainly on the inside, and we talk to people on the inside all the time.
That we do. Lisa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jeff. It is, I guess the rest of the country is getting some nice winter weather, and we have a balmy 61 degrees here in Atlanta, Georgia, and enjoying it. So
That's right.
Little peak of spring may be coming. So yeah, but excited about today's show. We're going to try and bring lots of value. And I know several people have reached out to tell us that they will be listening.
Awesome. Hopefully listening and watching at the same time so they can see our lovely faces, some more lovely than others.
There is a component on that.
Yeah, that's right. All right, well, let's get into this because today is another day for Lisa to really expand upon her knowledge and to drop more value bombs than any Entrepreneur on Fire episode ever in the history of EOF. See, that's a lot. So you really gotta come through. You gotta come through hard today.
I've got to deliver if I'm being compared with that. So yeah, we need to jump right into it.
We do.
I put myself on super speed. So today we're really following up to our episode from last week, Jeff, and that was, you've got an email address. Now, what do you do with it? Well, today we have titled our episode 5 Tips to Help You Write an Email Sequence. Because, people have that email address and they need to write those emails. We talked last week a little bit about the types of emails, kind of the styles of emails. But today we're going to get more into the details of 5 tips to help you write that email sequence. So the first one we're going to jump into, the big number one. And if you know anything about me, I am all about strategy, is making sure that we develop a plan. And the whole reason why we're going to do this episode today is I found some research. The average office worker gets 120 emails a day.
You know it.
Isn't that ridiculous? 120 emails a day. Now, that's average. That means there are people getting a lot more than that. And there may be some people that are getting less than that. Well, there obviously are if that is an average. But what we're looking at there is we are screaming for our audience's attention. So you can't just go into an email sequence without a plan. Well, you can, and a lot of people do. But if you're going to put the time into it, if you're going to put the energy into it, and this is costing us, it is costing the valuable resource of time, that we want to make sure that we have a plan. We're very intentional about doing it. So today we're going to talk probably mostly about your email sequence that we call a nurture sequence. Now, that is when you have someone's email address and they're not ready to buy yet, or you're not ready, you don't have a sale going on, you're not trying to pitch something. You want to make sure that you are sending emails that aren't always sales emails. You want to send emails that are going to help them understand who your company is or who you are if you're a personal brand. They need to understand what are your values as a company, what do you believe in, and ways that you can help them, because we are building a relationship online. If you were to meet someone, the first thing you do is you try to get to know them a little bit better. You want to know what they stand for and things that they like, and do you align with your beliefs? So that is one thing that's going to come through in this email nurture sequence. So the first thing I suggest people do is develop this content plan. Now, this is going to be a bonus because not only are you going to be able to get emails out of this, you're also going to be able to repurpose content for some of the other areas. So I suggest people start by creating some content pillars. All right. So if you remember last episode, we had talked about a lawn care company. Mm-hmm. And a lawn care company, if you think about it, if a lawn care company is going to write emails, there's several different categories that they will cover. They're going to be thinking not only about the care of your lawn, but they're also going to look at things in landscaping or ground covers. They might look at outdoor areas. So there's a lot of different things that go into the product offerings that they have. So let's just come up with some content pillars for that lawn company.
Cool.
All right. So first one will be, I'm going to say lawn maintenance.
Okay. Good one.
Things you need to know about lawn maintenance. And maybe you aren't a customer of theirs. So they may be courting you as a customer. You know, how often should you cut your grass? How do you know when it's the last time to cut your grass? If you're in an area of the country where you have that seasonality, maybe you want to replace your grass, what type of grass that you have. So that would be in that content bucket. The next one would be maybe trees and shrubs. Let's say you want to get some more shade on your house to maybe save on some of your utility bills. So what type of trees would you plant in the area? What's going to survive in that? And so offering this valuable content. And just a couple of other buckets, I'm not going to go into these. Another content bucket might be flowering plants. It might be things for outdoor living, and it could be future plans. So maybe landscape architect plans, or here's things that we see on the horizon. So you take those 4 to 5 content pillars and you break them down into subcategories, like I mentioned, let's say types of grass. And then you break those down into small bite-sized topics. And when you plan this out on a spreadsheet, you can have a year's worth of emails. And that is the big hurdle most people have when they sit down to write an email. They sit down, oh, I've got to write an email. And then they've got that blank cursor just blinking at them. What do I write on there? So creating that content plan. And when you send the emails out, you know, you might mix them up, or you might do a series of 3s, just like we're doing in our email series here on the podcast.
Right.
We've got, a couple of those in line for our listeners. So coming up with a plan that makes sense and having it on a spreadsheet, you're not going to fear sitting down in front of that computer screen and getting ready to type some of those things up.
Yeah, and if I can interject for just a second, I mean, you can easily, well, first of all, I want to say this: you can easily use just the services, or for my clients, med spas, for the different treatments that you offer, and have those be your content pillars, and then you just expand upon those types of things. It's once you start thinking in content pillars, it becomes much easier. But I have a question for you as well. Now, when you're writing this stuff, you don't just want to write, how-to articles and all of that. You want to have just a tiny tinge of sales-y speak in there, just a little bit, right? Because at the end of the day, we're not trying to teach people how to cut their own lawn. We're trying to teach people why we need to be cutting their lawn for them.
Right. So in that case, what I would do is make sure you interject some things. There is a risk, so if you don't cut your lawn at the right height, you have a risk of making a mistake and maybe, end up having to spend more money doing that. So, one of the best ever lead generators I had heard someone provide was a realtor who wrote a 63-page ebook on how to sell a home by yourself.
That's brilliant alone, because people are going to be like, this is too long. I don't want to do this.
I want to do FSBO, for sale by owner. I'm going to download this guide. A realtor's telling me how to do it. She said by page 16, like, people would call her.
Yeah.
Because she was very detail oriented. So people will get into it. They'll start out, that's fine. But when you start interjecting what's at risk, but give value. Yeah, eventually they will hire you when the time is right.
Right.
If the time is right for them. But you want to genuinely be full of value and be generous. Also, when you write your emails, there is a time for sales and there is a time for not to be salesy. Right. So you want to be really, really careful for that.
Sure. And
Now,
now go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, once you have those emails,
Yeah.
that one email you could turn into a social media post. You can turn into a blog post. You could turn it into a podcast episode. So make sure when you're doing all this work for content planning, you don't shortchange yourself. You have planned a full content plan for many different platforms. So don't just waste it on one email.
Brilliant.
All right. So that's number one. We're going to jump right into number two, is making sure that each email is only about one idea. You want to have one controlling idea.
Now, why is that?
And so the reason why is you're writing an email to remain in your reader's mind of, okay, this is what they do. If you start bringing in other ideas, so let's say you maybe start talking about the best type of lawnmower for this type of grass. And then all of a sudden you move to a certain type of ground cover. Well, then when I walk away from that email, what was I supposed to remember?
Yeah.
You want to make sure there is one topic. So how you come up with the controlling idea, and you need to do this before you start writing the email, is what do you want people to say when they walk away from that email? If somebody said, oh, what was that email about? You want them to have in one concise statement. It was, how do I know what lawnmower to buy for this grass? Okay, something like that.
Right.
So that you need to make sure people know what the email is about. You don't want to confuse them. If you confuse them, they won't get through the email. So be very clear.
You lose them.
Yeah, if you confuse, you'll lose them. And so be very clear and put it right up front so people understand why I should continue reading. All right, so that's
cool.
2. All right, number 3 is my favorite, and this is formatting your emails. You know, it's not just sitting and writing down the content and throwing it into an email and sending it on. We have talked about, and we're going to talk about in an upcoming episode, of making sure that you've got your emails loaded into an automation system. So once you have done the work, you're going to be able to see how they perform and who opens and all of those things you'll be talking about here in a couple of weeks. But you want to make sure that your emails are being read. And so we talked last episode about the importance of a subject line to get people to open the email. But there's some things you can do when you write your emails to, again, make them more effective. So one is to make sure, okay, start with that controlling idea. And here's the thing, when people open an email, if they see a lot of text crammed together, they're not going to want to read it. It's a lot of work. You want it to be scannable. A lot of people will scan the email and they'll go all the way down to the bottom before they stop and start over reading at the top. So if you could put in some headings when you have a certain topic, have a heading, bold it so people know what those 2 or 3 lines are underneath that heading. That will tell them, oh, this is why I need to read it. It's almost introducing, this is what this copy is about. Also, you want to make sure there's lots of breathing room in your email. Don't stack it together. Don't make it a really tiny font. Make it easy for them to read, because again, people want to make it as seamless as possible. If you've heard me talk before, people want things that are going to help them survive and thrive. And so making me work to read an email, you're going to lose me.
No doubt about that. So now, so let me stop you there. So when I see a lot of emails from a lot of info marketers and people like that, they do one line, and then space, and then a sentence, and then space, and then a sentence, and then space. Do you do that as well? Was that what you recommend?
Yes, that's what I mean about breathing space. So there may be something that traditionally, let's say if we were writing a white paper or even a report, we would put in a paragraph with one idea. But yes, spacing it out is really important, because then you can scan it easier and it lets you breathe. You you're not so pressured when you read it.
Mm-hmm.
All psychological on how you see it. But, I can remember, when my kids were younger and there would be summer reading and they would get their books, the first thing they would do would be open to the back page and see how many pages it was.
Oh, yeah.
317 pages. I can't read this. But you know what? You read one page at a time, right?
That's right. My 10-year-old son does that still.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if there's something you really want to emphasize, take advantage of, your ability to use a bold font. Typically, if I'm using a quote or a testimonial from someone, I put it in italics just to make it stand out and pop off the page a little bit better.
Excellent. Great point.
Yeah. And then this one is going to kind of blow your mind because you think, why would you do this? When you can, always include a PS.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Now, PS, if you know what it stands for, it's postscript. It's Latin. And the original intent was when we used to write letters on stationery with something called a pen, that, hard to find one anymore. But when you would do that and you would get to the end of your letter and you think, oh, I forgot something. P.S. I'm going to put this little note at the bottom. Well, that's not really relevant these days because all we have to do is move our cursor up, click, and we could just jump in and edit the email. However, putting a P.S. after your signature will make that pop out. And that is the time where it's the last parting thought where you might say, hey, if you'd like to get more information about this, click on this link and we'll, take them to your website. Or maybe there's a coupon or there's an upcoming webinar. So don't lose that opportunity for that last statement with that PS.
Yeah, I love that. I think people can't help but read PSs on emails, period. They may not read any of the other part of the email, but they'll read the PS for sure.
They will. They will. And the other thing, when we do have someplace where we want them to leave the letter to go to our website or another offer, make sure you're putting that link in there, whether it's a registration link or it's a link, again, to go somewhere else. Put it in your email more than one time. Put it in the PS, put it in right before you sign off, and maybe somewhere in the body of the letter where you first introduce it.
Yeah, that's psychological, that's subconscious, because again, that's what we want people to do is click that link.
Yeah, we definitely want them to click that link. And when they read it in a body of text, it may not register the same way if you have it on a single line. So make sure that you have that.
Right.
And that leads to number 4, which is the most abused of the 5 tips. Well, maybe right behind the next one we have, but don't forget your call to action. So remember back when we're talking about that content plan, you got that spreadsheet, you've got your 5 content pillars, you've got your email subject lines. In the column next to it, I put at the top of the column heading action. What is the action I want them to take after reading this email? It might be, I want them to visit my website. I might want them to schedule a call. I might want them to walk away thinking, I can't wait to read this next email because these people provide me such value. They're going to provide me a recipe every week. I'm going to open the next email. They're going to provide coupons. I'm going to do that. So what is the intent of your email? What is that call to action you want them to take? All right. And number 5 here, Jeff, this is the big countdown drum roll. I don't want to offend anyone, but this is really the hard, honest truth. Honest and truth, that same word right there, right? That's the same meaning. But here's the truth. Nobody wants your newsletter.
Nope.
Nobody wants to read your newsletter. Now, there is a way to go ahead and end up in their inbox because people think, oh, I have an email address. I know what I'll do. I'll just send them a newsletter once a month, twice a month, once a week. It'll be easy. We'll just talk about things going on around the company. Nobody wants your newsletter because they don't care what's going on around your company. They don't care that you just won the best place to work metric. They don't care that you were just named the top company in whatever award that you were in. Unfortunately, they don't care that this employee has been at the company for 20 years and you're celebrating their anniversary. They want to know what's in it for me.
That's right.
So when you're looking at a newsletter, when you put on your website, sign up for our newsletter here, no one's excited about that. Like, why do I want to get another email? I'm getting 120 already. Why do I want to get another email? So let's take a look at how you can do this in a different way. All right. Instead of sign up for my newsletter, it's sign up for our money saving coupons. Sign up here for our get to sleep tips for parents of baby or with children with infants. Like if you've got an infant, you're going to sign up for that. It might be sign up for 5-minute daily tips to a better relationship with your spouse. So tell them the value you're going to bring them and why they want to sign up. Mm-hmm. Why do they want to sign up for your newsletter? Because people want value. They will open your email if they know that you are going to deliver value and you consistently deliver value. There are also companies that I will sign up for their emails just because they inspire me. I love what they stand for. I want to know what they're, like how they're putting their product into the world. And particularly for me as a marketer who teaches how to do email marketing, sometimes I just sign up for people's email sequences because I want to see what they're doing. I want to see how they're writing emails.
That's right.
It's great research. So here's what your emails should do. Your email newsletter, if that's what you have, and again, call it something besides a newsletter. Call it your tip sheet or whatever. But you need to either educate, you need to provide solutions, or you need to give action steps. So we're going to bring this full circle back around to the name of our podcast show today, 5 tips to help you write an email sequence. And what we've done is we've just provided you an audio and visual newsletter with actionable steps that you can take to help you write your email sequence easier.
That's right. And now we're going to use this episode as a lead generation for and turn all this into our own lead gen, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. So hopefully those have been some great tips for you to be able to put into practice. If you have any questions about that, just feel free to reach out to me, but start slow. You don't have to do all of this at once. Start with one thing, but we're here to help.
Yeah, I mean, when looking over this again, and that's why I keep looking off screen because that's where I have the 5 tips here. I really think a good focus would be to start on that obviously those content pillars. You've really got to start to figure out what can you provide to the end user, to your potential client, to your potential customer, and then go from there. But as soon as you get that. Because as soon as you get content pillars done, or at least started, you've not only just been able to help create yourself more email copy, but now you have social media posts, like you mentioned, and so on, video content ideas, the works. And that way you can get in front of these people, more often and on more different platforms. Because there are so many platforms now that you have to get on, that you have to be a part of if you want to be everywhere to everyone.
And I think the point of that, Jeff, is your audience may not be but on one of those platforms.
Sure.
And if you only concentrate on one and they're on another, you're going to miss them. That's
true. That's very, very true. So this was an amazing, quick episode. This is some great information. So, anybody that's actually listening or watching, the best way to get this to be successful is to go do it. Don't just listen, take action. on this knowledge. You know, we're sharing the knowledge, but you guys got to be the ones that go and take the action on it. I know I am. So, is there anything else that you want to add, Lisa, before we wrap up the show?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you get into it as, you know, one of the listeners and you need some help, one thing I do, I am a business growth advisor. So I do help my clients learn how to write these emails. We go deep into a little bit more of the styles of emails we presented last week. I give feedback on emails that you've written. We walk through it together. I don't just give you an assignment and say, here, go do it. I will help you through it. So that is one thing. If you are interested, reach out to me. We can set up a time. And I do have an email coaching service that I provide to others. So feel free to reach out.
That's awesome. Now, where can people reach out to you right now if they want to go ahead and get started?
All right. So email is lisa@lisamcguire.com. Make it pretty easy for you. So you can do that, lisa@lisamcguire.com. Also can contact us via the Business Growth Insiders website, businessgrowthinsiders.com. Always find me there, or you can look for me on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Well, this has been a great show. Thank you, Lisa, once again. Looking forward to continuing this, this series of shows that we're doing on email lead generation. Next week, I think we're going to get into the actual automation things of it, or we have a special guest next week.
We have a special guest next week, and very excited about this. You know, the number one thing that you need to be successful in business and grow your business is not necessarily a lead generator. It isn't having a great product. It is your mind. It is your mindset. So we're going to look forward to learning some more about how to set that up and position yourself for success.
That's awesome. I'm so freaking excited for that. Mindset is so key. I'm teaching my 10-year-old boy about mindset, and just the growth he is going through right now is just so amazing. I'm so proud of him to be able to see that there is more to what's on the face value, and that if you can really put your mind on things and focus, you can really get some serious things done. And he's doing that. Super proud. So this next episode is going to be amazing. I'm definitely going to have him watch it as well. So that's great. Awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. Lisa and Jeff here from Business Growth Insiders, we're so thankful that you took the time to watch, listen. If you read from the website, great. Do that too. And take your business.
And grow.
Thanks, y'all.